Yo, what's up YouTube, and welcome back to a new episode. In today's episode, we're going retro. We're going to be talking about the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Comic Jabroni's top 3 favorite Nintendo sports titles from the NES era. So you want to stick around and find out what those top 3 are, because we're starting right now. Okay guys, so like I said, today's episode, we're going to go over my favorite 3 Nintendo or NES sports titles. As you guys know, the NES was filled with a library of different games from different genres, right? We had RPGs in there, we had platformers, we had strategy. I mean, we had board games on there like chess, but sports titles was something that the NES was pushing a ton of. Right? You had baseball, basketball, football, hockey. You even had like X Games type stuff with, rollerblading and skateboarding and those type of titles. But me, I remember most fondly these 3 titles. So let's start off with number 1. All right, guys. So number 1 on my list gotta be Tecmo Bowl, man. And not Tecmo Super Bowl, which is gonna be on a lot of people's lists. And I absolutely love that game. But this was the first football game that I remember playing a ton of. This came out in 1989. This was the first football game to come out on the NES that was given rights by the NFL Players Association. So that's why in these Tecmo Bowl and Tecmo Super Bowl, you actually have real players from the NFL. Everybody remembers Tecmo Super Bowl and actually playing with the Raiders and having Bo Jackson. But in Tecmo Bowl, you could play as the Rams and have Eric Dickerson, right? So this dude was like the Bo Jackson of Tecmo Super Bowl. But in Tecmo Bowl, Eric Dickerson couldn't be stopped. And what I really remember about these games was just those touchdown celebrations and things like that. I absolutely love Tecmo Bowl. And I know Tecmo Super Bowl, like I said, is the one that's probably remembered the most fondly. But like I said, guys, Tecmo Bowl was my first really jump into NFL and playing these type of games. And obviously, Madden is still around and people still play Tecmo Super Bowl. I know every year they still have a tournament where they update the rosters on Tecmo Super Bowl. So guys, Tecmo Bowl, did you play this as a kid? And if you still had it, would you play it now? Look at this cover, guys. Ooh, with that dude. Man, he looks all grizzled and just ready to fight, man, and go to war. Absolutely love Tecmo Bowl, guys. That's my number 1. Let's get into the second one. All right, guys. Next up on the list for me, Blades of Steel. I'm not the biggest hockey fan when it comes to sports. My sports, baseball number 1, then basketball, then football. I don't really watch a lot of hockey, but growing up on the, playing the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES, Blades of Steel was the game, man. It didn't matter if you watched hockey. You absolutely loved it. And one of the main reasons, and I know a lot of you guys are going to say it, is because of the fighting. Now, the NES had a hockey game already come out, right? This came out in 1988. Ice hockey was the Nintendo hockey game. This was Konami's. And now, that ice hockey game, had Mario in it. It was a fun game, great game. But to tell you the truth, man, Konami's Blades of Steel was the one that I remember playing so much of, and it was because of the fighting, guys. I didn't even care about winning. I just wanted to get in there and knock. I think you had to hit somebody 3 times, and then you got into like a little fight scene. I thought that was the most fun. This game is great though. The mechanics, I don't know too much about the rules of hockey, but it kind of helps you through that a little bit. There's not too many teams on here. I think they had like maybe 10 teams. You could play in a tournament. Just a really fun game. Let me know, do you remember playing Blades of Steel growing up? I absolutely thought that this was the best game going as far as hockey and sports titles. It's in my top 3, man. Just a really awesome hockey game. Let me know, was it a game that you played? Let's get into the last one, number 3. All right, guys, the last game, and this is probably my favorite sports title. I consider it a sports game because when you were, in PE class in elementary and even in middle school, like this is what you would do maybe on a Friday or something. You would play Dodgeball. I don't know if too many schools are allowing their PE classes to play dodgeball anymore, but back in the day, we did not care. We had them big old, red rubber balls, and we would throw them as hard as we could at everybody. Man, Super Dodgeball was my favorite sports title. There are plenty of sports games on the NES, like I had just said. Mike Tyson's Punch Out, Double Dribble, RBI Baseball, but those don't hold a candle. How do you say it? Don't hold a lick? They can't hold the jockstrap of Super Dodgeball. How about that, man? I absolutely love this game. Being able to be, the United States of America, going through that world tournament to get to the end where you're having to face off against the Russians. Dude, and this is in the same vein as River City Ransom, right? The little characters, they look exactly like that. And each player kind of had their own special move, and they would jump in the air and throw the ball, and it would kind of do this number or like speed through real quick. Man, and this is a 2-player game, right? So absolutely love playing dodgeball against my buddies. I'd go over to their house and we would play some dodgeball on the NES. The music was outstanding. The gameplay is there. It has some glitching issues, of course, because the NES just didn't have the power to run all these sprites all at the same time. And this one had, quite a few sprites. You can also on this, I don't know if you knew that, you could play beanball, where you would be one player on the US team. You'd be on a sand court, and it was just a free-for-all. One versus the rest of the team. Whoever was there at the end, you win the beanball game. So Super Dodgeball, that is my number 1 favorite sports game on the NES. There are plenty. Like I said, I have a few more in my my wall of NES games, but these 3, really meant the most to me growing up. I absolutely love playing these. This is another one of my retro video game videos. I'm going to be pushing out a few more of these along with my comic books. So if this is your first time watching one of my videos, I'm Edwin, the Comic Jabroni. I'm dropping videos every week, 2, maybe 3, going live. Think about hitting that subscribe button, guys, and that bell notification. It's going to let you know when I'm dropping videos. Hit that like button for me. Write me a comment. What do you remember about the NES, and which sports titles were on your top 3, 4, or 5? Doesn't matter. Let me know, guys. So until next time, I'm Edwin the Comic Jabroni. Peace.